So I was just going through the Indian constitution and I didn't understand most of the things, and it was very difficult to identify where the topics are and what I should look for. So what I thought was is I'm a software developer and I'm dabbling around with the Spring AI as well. So let's try to simplify this. Let's try to simplify Indian constitution and let's build a RAG system around it so that from OpenAI I can get the latest information about the Indian constitution in a simplified format. So with that thought in mind, I came up with the idea for creating this video to understand Spring AI and implement a RAG with this Spring AI with our application. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Shabir and you're watching Daily Code Buffer. So what we are going to do is I have a complete Indian constitution with me. So what I have done is I have downloaded the complete Indian constitution. So if I show you, this is the complete Indian Constitution PDF. You can see that it is more than 400 pages. And with the new government changes and everything, this constitution with the new bills and everything, this constitution is amended and we should be able to get the latest information from this constitution. And if I ask any question to OpenAI, to ChatGPT, that information will not be available with that ChatGPT because the latest information is not there. So what we will try to do is we'll try to build a RAG system where we'll pass the context, and with that context we should be able to get the correct information from the Indian Constitution. So what we will do is we are going to build a RAG implementation. So if you want to understand what is RAG, I have created a dedicated video. You can check that here as well. Now once you understand what is RAG and what is the importance of using a RAG in your AI application, what we'll do is we'll come here and we will build the RAG. I have created one more video where we have created a simple RAG system using the simple vector store. But here we are going to use the actual database. So what we have currently handy is we have the Indian Constitution with us, right? This is the PDF file that we have, and you can do with anything. Currently we are doing with PDF, you can do with text files, you can do with reference data, anything. Okay. So with this PDF file, what we'll do is we will create a vector store. Okay. So we're going to create a vector store. Vector store, consider this is as your database. Okay. Where all our data will be stored. We cannot store the data directly, whatever the text we have, because the models does not understand it directly. We need to make sure that we convert to the vectors so that only this similar data is been passed along the queries. Okay, because if suppose I have 400 pages of document, right, and for every query if I send all those 400 pages, then the costing will be too high. So we do not want that as well. We need to optimize for costing as well, and we need to optimize for accuracy as well. Okay, so what we do is rather than sending the data directly to give the entire context, we tokenize everything and we store in a context. We store in a vector store. So this entire PDF will be tokenized and stored as a vector in this database. Okay, so this is going to be your PG vector database. That's the Postgres vector database, and we will store each and everything at the start of our application. So once the application starts, I have the vector store created, and whenever there is a prompt call to the Open API, whenever there is a request, what we will do is we will attach this context data. What we will do is, suppose prompt is what is article 370, suppose. Okay, let's take this example. So what we will do is we will not directly go to the OpenAI, we will come here, we will go to this vector store and we will understand that, okay, what are the similar data around article 370. So we will get those documents, we will get that context data, and then with the help of that data, we will send the prompt to the OpenAI, that is any model that you use, okay, not just OpenAI, but any LLM models. We will send that context information alongside the actual query, and then OpenAI can understand that, okay, I have a query and a context as well, so I need to get the data based on that context. I cannot do any random data. Okay, so with this we'll be able to increase the accuracy and we'll also be able to efficiently reduce the cost as well. So this is what we are going to build today, and we are going to simplify the Indian Constitution. So this is what the entire plan is. What we need is we need the OpenAI account. We are going to use the OpenAI. So we have already created the OpenAI account in the previous videos. We are going to use the same thing, but I'll show you the same thing again. So we have the platform.openai. Okay, and here you can see that this is our account. I'll go to settings and this is my project, and if you see the billing information, I have some balance available, so you need to add some credit as well. Okay, just add a couple of dollars and you should be able to hit the queries. And if I go to my profile, I have a user API key as well. So you need to create your user API key. With this API secret key, you will be able to query this API. Okay, so these two things you need. You can generate the key from here. Okay, once we have these details, we can create our Spring Boot application. So let's go ahead and create the Spring Boot application. So we'll go to Spring Initializer for our project. So we'll go to Spring Initializer. So this is our project. This is where we're going to create the project. So what we will do is we'll create the Java project with Maven and Spring Boot as 3.3.2, and the group information I'm going to give is daily code buffer. Okay, the artifact demo I'm going to give is Indian Constitution simplified. Okay, and I'm going to give a description as Indian Constitution simplified. Okay, I'm going to package as jar file Java version is 21, and let's go with the dependencies. So I'm going to build the Spring Web project. I'm going to create the API. So I'm going to add Spring Web dependency. I'm going to work with OpenAI. So I'm going to add OpenAI dependency as well. So this is the OpenAI dependency, Spring AI support for ChatGPT, AI language model, and DALL-E, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then I'm going to add the JDBC as well. Okay. And then, so if I explore, I should be able to see, okay, Spring Data JDBC, Spring Data Starter Web, and Spring AI. Okay, and then what I need is I need the PG vector dependency. Okay, PG vector database, Spring AI vector database supports for PG vector. It's an open source extension for PostgreSQL that enables storing and searching over machine learning generated embeddings. Okay, this is what we need. And what we also need one more is the Docker Compose support. Okay, you can see this is the Docker Compose support. What it will help us to do is it will help us to enable the PostgreSQL using the Docker Compose. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a PG vector store in our local system using the Docker. We are not directly installing it. We are using Docker Compose to install the PG vector in our system. Okay, with the Docker help. So these are all the dependencies that we need: Spring Web, OpenAI, Spring Data JDBC, PG vector, and Docker Compose. Okay, so with this dependency, we can create the project and open in IntelliJ IDEA. So let's generate the project and open in IntelliJ IDEA. Open this project. So here you can see that the project is added. What I will do is I will go back to documents, and whatever the Indian Constitution I have, I'll just copy this and I will add in the resource section. Okay, so this is what we're gonna work with. Now, how we need to configure each and everything. Okay, so what we will do is we will go to Spring AI. Okay, and here we are going to go to learn, reference documents, and then Spring AI. What we need is vector databases and PG vector. Okay, so if you go here, I will add the link in the description below for you, but this will tell you how you can work with PG vector for your OpenAI projects, how you can build RAG with the PG vector. So if you go here, you will get all the information about the prerequisites and what all things that you need. You need to create these SQL files and the configuration that you need to add. Okay, the dependencies that you need to add, the application or YAML configuration that you need to add, all the things are added here. Okay, the code and everything, all the properties that you need to define, and how you can call the data from the vector store. So you can see that the entire document is laid out very good. So we are going to follow this document, and with this document we will be able to work with the Spring AI with PG vector. What you can also do is you can download the Pieces software here, which will help you in your software development workflows. So here you can see that I have downloaded the Pieces app, which will help you to store all your snippets, and it will also allow you to search throughout your context. So here if I give you the example that we are creating this Spring AI with PG vector video to simplify the Indian Constitution. So here I was going through all the different materials in the Pieces app, and I have stored everything. What you can also do, go to the browser, and this is the document that we are referring to regarding the PG vector. So here you can see that I have also installed the browser extension for Pieces, and here you can see that whatever the code snippets are available, all those code snippets are been shown here as well. Okay, you can see that this is the SQL snippet which is here, this is the dependency which is here, this is the Groovy dependency which is here. So you can see that all those snippets are available, which we are referring to build our application. So you can do simply, you can just add to the Pieces app. Okay, so it will add this particular snippet to your Pieces app, and you can refer to this context whenever you are working with it. So you just took the reference, you took the documentation from this page, from this browser, and you are just saving all those contexts within your PCs app. And once the context is saved, it will be very easy for you to go through all those contexts and build your application. So here I have added everything in the context. So what PCs will do is, PCs has this workstream context. So whatever the work that you are doing, in this example we are building our Spring AI application with PG Vector. So it will store all the context whatever you are doing. So you are going to any documentation, you are searching for any errors, you are in your IntelliJ IDEA doing something, you are in your different folders doing something. So all those workstream context it will store, and based on that entire context, whatever you are searching within the PC's Copilot, it will help you to get the proper output from the Copilot based on the context that you are doing. And everything is done locally, so none of your data is being shared outside of your system. So all those data, all those processing is been done locally, so you do not have to worry about the privacy as well. So let me just go through all of these things and let me just show you the PCs app as well. So this is the PCs browser extension that we saved the context. And the same thing, if I go to my IntelliJ IDEA, and here also you can see that I have downloaded the PCs extension for the IntelliJ IDEA, which will help me to go through the different Copilot chat, whatever I want to do, and it will also allow me to save the code as well, code snippet as well. This will also help me to go through the entire context. So suppose this is the code that I'm referring to, I can go here and I can save it to pieces, and I can ask the pieces about the Copilot about this code as well, and it will summarize the code for me. It will give me more information about this code. And you can see you can also explore more about this code. Okay, once you do that, it will do its magic internally within your system, and it will find the data for you. It will find the explanation for you. Okay, you can see that the snippet was added. You can find all the snippets here. And if you go to the PCs app, this is where you will be able to find everything as well. Okay, so here you can see that I have all the data available, how to build the rack system, how to solve the file creation error. You can see that I was using this extensively, how to use the queries, and how to implement the PG Vector. Okay, you can see every details is available here, and if I want to search anything, I can do the search from here as well. And if I go here, you can see that you can find the saved materials. This is all the saved materials, and here you can see that it will also help you to find the data based on the image. So whatever the tutorial that you are seeing, so if you are seeing this tutorial, you can screenshot that particular piece of code and you can add in your PCs app, and it will convert that screenshot into the code, and it will save the reference for you. So you can refer that piece of code as well within the future, and it will add the summary, the tags and everything for you. So you can see that this is the image that I saved here, and if I see in the code, you can see that it converted into code. It added the, you can see that proper context as well, that what this particular piece of code is, just based on the image. So if you're just going through the tutorial and if you want some piece of code, then rather than referring that video every time, you can just take the screenshot, add in your context as well. So you can see that I was using this extensively in my workflows. So you can also check out this. It has the couple of features that I like the most. That is the workstream feature, which will allow you to take the entire context, whatever you're doing. So it is like a second brain for you. You do not have to worry about giving the context to ChatGPT every time you are doing. It knows everything what you are doing. Okay. And there is also option to change the different models as well. If I go here, you can see that currently it's using GPT-4o model. There are different sets of models available. You can choose any of the models that you want. So that is also a feature. And if you go to the PCs, you can see there are different flows available. That is a saved material. So whatever the snippets that you have stored, that all things will be available here. If you want to capture the context, you can, as you can see that this is the entire context which is captured. All the website materials that you have gone through for your tutorials or for your researches, all those things will be available. So you can go through whatever the context that PCs has stored, and you can modify, update, delete, whatever you want to do, you can do. And everything is local, okay, within your system itself. If you want to go through the workflow activities, so it will show you what all the workflows that you have done. So you will get the understanding that what all activities that you are doing and how this PCs is learning internally to give you the proper context. So you do not have to give the context every time. And the snippet discovery, the global search, lot of features are available, and I have been using this extensively, and it is helping me a lot in my workflows. I do not have to go through ChatGPT and ask the questions in details with the context. This has all the context and it is giving me a proper result. So you can check these pieces out. I will add the link in the description below for you to check this out. So check the pieces out. It's completely free to use, and the link is in the description below. So with that being said, if we go to the IntelliJ IDEA, and here you can see that we have our structure ready, and you can see that we have the Docker Compose YAML file also created. And as we have added the dependency of PG Vector and Docker Compose, it automatically understood that we would need the PG Vector implementation using the Docker Compose. So you can see that we have already got the file of Docker Compose with the PG Vector implementation. Okay, you can see that the services PG Vector is already added. Okay, everything is already added. We just need to change the database name and the password which we have. Rest everything is available. So this is all information that we have which is added here. So we do not have to worry about working or installing PG Vector in our system. This Docker Compose will automatically install for us. So now what we will do is I will just change the database configurations. So I'll just change that my database name is ICS, password is Postgres, and password user is also Postgres. Okay, so this is the information that I've added. Now what I need, I will go back to this document. Okay, and what they are telling is that we need to have the index created, right? You can see that we need to add the extensions and index created. So we will just copy this information, okay, and we will go to our IntelliJ IDEA, and within resources we'll create a new file, schema.sql. Okay, so whenever you want any configuration to be loaded at the startup, we will add in the schema.sql file for our database, and we will add here. Okay, so here you can see that the SQL file is added. Okay, and this will help to create the schema, the vector store integrations and everything. Then we'll go back here, and you can see that you have some information available, tips and everything. Okay, but I think we are good for starting with the default configuration. So the schema that we have created as per the given documentation, we have already added the PG Vector store dependency, and we have added the Spring AI OpenAI model as well. Then you can see that what it is saying is we need to add the configuration for PG Vector store. So this configuration we need to add, right? So we'll just copy this configuration, and we'll go to, you can see that it is added in application.yaml file, right? So we'll go to application.properties and we'll convert to YAML. So let me just change to YAML. Okay, and I'm gonna add the configuration here. Okay, Spring data source application. So here Spring application name equals to ICS. Okay, so you can see that the basic configuration is added. I'll just change the to ICS. Okay, this is your database. So you can see that the basic configuration is added to connect my application to PG Vector. So now we just need to load our vector store. Okay, so let's do the configuration to load the vector store as well. All the basic configuration is done. We already have our application ready. We have our Docker Compose ready, which will help to create or install the PG Vector in our system, and the configuration for my application to connect to PG Vector is also added. One configuration is needed is whenever we are working with the OpenAI application, we need to add the configuration for OpenAI as well, right? So we need to add the secret key and the model that we are going to use. So let's add the dependency as well, because if we are not adding it, this application will not start. So within the AI section here, okay, we need to add that dependency. So I'm just adding OpenAI API key. I'll be taking API key from the environment variable, and chat options model equals to GPT-4. Okay, so let me just start the server. Okay, I'll go to ICS application, start my server, and let me just stop it. Okay, so I have got this. So let me just add the environment variable. So I have just added the environment variable for my Open API key. I'm not gonna share this information because you can get the same information for you from your Open API keys. Okay, just add a couple of dollars and you will be able to generate it, and you can configure it. So once we have done that, once we have configured our Open API key as well, what we will need to do is we will need to add the configuration to load our vector store. Okay, so let's go back and let's create the data loader class, which will help to load our data. So I'm going to create a class and say data loader. Okay, and I'm going to create this as a component, so it is in the Spring's radar, and whenever the application starts, this application class will be loaded. So two things we need here. One is the private final vector store we need, because we have to work with the vector store. So we need the object of vector store, and what we need is private final JDBC client. Okay, because we are going to work with PG vector, so whatever the data we have, we need to store in JDBC. So these two things we need. So we will add both of the things in the constructor. So whenever the class is loaded, we have those two added to our Spring application. Now what we need is, we need the reference of this Indian Constitution as well, this PDF file, because we have to work with this PDF file as well. So let's add that as well. So I'm going to add private resource. Okay, resource from the Spring Framework core.io, and I'm going to say this is the PDF resource. Okay, and I'm going to inject this using the @value annotation. And I'm gonna say this is a class path, and I'm gonna copy this value. Okay, so now we will have the reference to this PDF resource as well. Now I'm gonna create a method public init, public void init, and I'm gonna do post construct. Okay, so whenever the object is created, this method will be called, and I need my vector store to be created here. Okay, so we will add all the details here. So what we will do is, we will first check the database, that is our PG vector, that if I have any data within my PG vector store, then I am not going to create the PG vector store again, because I have already loaded the data. But if I do not have the data, then I'm going to load each and everything in my PG vector. So I'm going to use PDF and then convert that data to tokenized format and add in the vector store, because every time we are not gonna call that PG vector store. Okay, so first of all, what I'll do is, I'll just do integer count. I'm just calling the query here, that is JDBC client.sql, and here I'm gonna add the query select count star from vector store. Okay, if you go to the schema, this is what we are creating, right? So this is what we have added, that I'm checking from this vector store that if I have any data or not. Dot query, I'm going to query it. It is integer dot class dot single. Okay, so here you can see that I'm just doing a query in my database, that do I have any records or not. If I do not have any records, count 0. Let me just print it here. Okay, number of records in the PG vector store. Okay, so it's 0. So if count equals to 0, then do something. Okay, so if my count is more than that, okay, more than 0, then I do not have to do anything, because I have already loaded the data. But if my count is 0, then I need to load the data. Okay, so now if my count is 0, what I have to do is, I have to take this PDF file and then convert that PDF file to the chunks of different tokens to vectors, and then add in my database. So let's do that. So first of all, let me just print out something that, okay, loading Indian Constitution in the PG vector store. Okay, and then what I need is, I need to work with the PDF. So as I need to work with the PDF, I need to add one dependency of PDF as well. So let me just add one dependency which will help me to work with PDF. Okay, so this is the dependency, which is Spring Framework AI, Spring AI PDF document reader. Let me just refresh my Maven. So this is the dependency that I have added. So with this dependency, I'll be able to read the PDF data. Let me just go back to data loader, and here let me just add the code. Okay, so we need to add PDF document reader config. Okay, the dependency is loaded now. I just restarted the IntelliJ IDEA. Okay, so with this we need to add the config equals to PDF document reader dot builder dot build, and one configuration will add it with pages per document as 1, and you can see that there are multiple configurations, that with pages extracted text formatter, with page bottom margin and position and everything. So this all information you can add to make sure that based on your PDF, if you want to remove some data like the page number or all those things, we can remove that. So we are using less tokens. Okay, and the rest of the information which is not needed is not added to your vector store. So all those things we can do using this different methods available. So once your config is set here, we can use page PDF document reader equals to new page document reader, and here within this we need to add the resource and the PDF source, right? So our resource is PDF resource and the config that we have. Okay, two things we need to add. So this will read the data. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to split the text, is right. So we need to, whatever the text we have, we need to split it and we need to tokenize it. So variable text splitter equals to new token text splitter, and then we need to add to vector stores vector store dot accept, and we need to add the list of documents. So how we'll get the list of documents? Using the PDF reader and the text splitter. So we need to add text splitter dot apply, and then we need to pass the reader dot get data. You can see that now reader dot get data is giving me the list of documents, and then text splitter will also take that list of documents, split it with a tokenized format, and it will also give me the list of documents. Okay, so vector store will be able to accept that list of documents, and then I can say the application is ready to serve the request. Okay, so you can see it's a simple thing that we did. Okay, it's nothing fancy here. So what we did is whenever we want to start our application, we need to load our data. Okay, so we need to load our data in our vector store. So we use the vector store and the JDBC client because we are working with the PG vector store, and we created those two objects as the constructor, and we created a init method. It will be called as a post construct. So first we checked is if we have any data in our database or not. Okay, if we do not have any data, at that time we need to load the data. If we already have the data, we do not have to load it. So if we don't have the data, then we created a PDF config. This PDF config, you can see that it's nothing, it's very simple. It says that what type of configuration I need to work with the PDF. So if you have a PDF where if you want to remove some footer or headers, that configuration we can add, and how many pages you want to go through. So we are going with 1 pages. Okay, so this is the configuration, and we have a PDF page document reader. So this is the document reader where we are giving the PDF page and the configuration how we want to read it. So this we will read the data of the PDF, and once we read that PDF data, we have to tokenize it and save it in our vector store. We do not have to directly use it. We have to tokenize it. We have to add the embeddings, and that will be tokenized, created into a vector format, and then added to our vector store. So that's why we created a token text splitter. Okay, this will split the data of our reader into the list of documents. So whenever we are reading the data, it will give me the list of documents. That data I am giving to text splitter, which will split the text, tokenize it, and again it will give me the list of documents. That list of documents I can store in my vector store. Simple. Okay, and I have told that my application will start once everything is done. This will take some time when your application starts for the first time, right? It will take around 3 to 4 minutes of time to do each and everything. So let's start our application and let's see what's happening. So here you can see that it has started, and it started pulling the PG vector. Okay, you can see that it is downloading the PG vector store and it is installing for us. Okay, you can see download is completed. So here you can see that PG vector is pulled, creating the container for us, and the container is started, application is started, and it has started processing the data, and it failed. So let's check what happened. So there is some issue. Let's try to understand what is the issue. Error while extracting response for type OpenAI embeddings. Okay, so there is some issue in UTF format. Let's see, let's fix it. So error creating bean with data loader invocation in the init method failed. Okay, and what is the actual issue? Error while extracting response for type and content type is UTF-8. Okay, cannot retry due to server authentication in streaming mode. Okay, there is some server authentication issue. Let me just recheck the configurations. So we'll go to the application.yaml file. So we have AI, OpenAI key, chat options, models. Okay, all these things looks good. Let me just check the username and password. So if I go to compose.yaml, the same information I need. So let me just check that we have the correct information. Yep, ICS. So this all things looks good. Let me check the environment variable for OpenAPI key as well. Okay, so my environment variable was wrong. Okay, so let me just restart my application. So container is already started, right? So you can see that it started processing the data, right? So it will take some time to complete. We will wait for it to complete, and with the editing magic, we will come back. Okay, so here you can see that now the entire process is completed, and you can see that the Tomcat server port is started, and it took around 477 seconds to complete each and everything. Okay, so here you can see that now application is ready to serve the request. So generally it takes a lot of time to complete each and everything. And now if we go back and see our billing, you can see it's now 296. So it was around 10 cents or something that it used, okay, to go through the entire 400 pages. Now if I restart my application, it should not do everything again. Okay, so I just started my application again, and here you can see that it started very quickly, and you can see that we have already number of records in PG vector store as 648. So now we have records and our application started really quickly. Now we can build our application so that we can use this vector store to get our data. So what we will do is we will go here and create a new controller which will be helpful to do our API calls. So let me just create a new class and say ICS controller. Okay, and I'm gonna build this with the REST controller. And what I need here, so I need two things here. So I'll be adding private. I need chat model. You can see that chat model is part of the Spring AI chat model. I need chat model to call the OpenAI API, and I need the private vector store. Whatever the vector store we created, we need that as well. Okay, so with this too, let me just add final. So I will create a constructor to inject both of the things, and here you can see that your class is ready. Now we need to have one method to use everything. Okay, so let me just do that. Public string simplify. Okay, and I'm gonna do get mapping here, and here I'm gonna take variable. So I'm gonna take request param here. Okay, and request param value would be question, and default value would be maybe list all the articles in the Indian Constitution. Okay, I'm just asking one prompt here. Okay, and I need these things in string question. Okay, so this is my method. Okay, so what we have to do now here is we need to use the prompt here. Okay, so let me just add the prompt first. Okay, so I don't want to bore you with this prompt, so I'm just writing it down. You can see it's a simple prompt we have added. Okay, here you can see that your task is to answer the questions about Indian Constitution. Use the information from the document section to provide accurate answers. If unsure or if the answer isn't found in the document section, simply state that you don't know the answer. And this is the question, and we are going to pass that question, whatever we have the prompt. And in the document section, we are going to pass the document, the vector store data. And this is our prompt. So what we have to do is, using this prompt, we need to create a prompt template and pass these values, which is an input and the documents. And that prompt we need to pass to our client. Okay, so I am going to create prompt template equals to new prompt template, and I'm going to pass question here. Sorry, I need to pass prompt here. Okay, and then I need to create the map of string and object, because whatever these values are there, right, this input and this document, I need to replace it with the actual data. So I will just add string, and I need of object prompt parameters equals to new hash map and prompts. Okay, prompt parameters dot put, so the input, right? So first is input is question, and the next is documents. Okay, so we'll come to the documents, what we need to do with the documents, but currently let it be. And then what we need is we need to return chat model dot call. I'm gonna do template dot create with prompt parameters dot get result dot get output dot get content. Okay, this is what we have to return. Now one thing we need to understand is, you can see that this document section, I'm currently passing question. but this document, you can see that this document is your actual context data, whatever you get from the RAG. So what we have to do is we have to get this document from this question, right? So what we will do is we take this question, and from this question we go to vector store and then find all the similar context from that question. So if the question is find the list of articles from the Indian Constitution, so I'll take that question and I will go to my vector store and I will tell that, okay, whatever the similar things are there for that particular question, give me those data. I will take those data and pass it in the prompt to the OpenAI to get me the relevant data. That is what we need. Okay. So rather than directly passing the question, what I will do is I will say find similar data. I'm creating one method and I'm going to pass this question and I'm going to create this method. Okay, this is the method created and I want string back. Let me just refactor to rename the method and find similar data. Now here with this question, I need to go to vector store and get the similar data. So what I need to do vector store dot, you can see there is a similarity search, right? So I need similar data. So I'll do similarity search and here I need to pass search result dot query. And what is the query? Let me just do, my query is question. Okay. And this entire thing should return me list of documents. Okay. Then what I need is I take this all the documents, then convert to string and send it. Okay. So return documents dot stream dot map documents to document dot get content dot to string dot collect to collectors dot joining. Okay, so here you can see that now it is returning in the string format. Okay, so now what it will do is currently that whatever the similarity search it is happening for all the data. Now suppose if I need that, okay, find top 3 similar results and only that you send in the response in the context, or find any top 7 or top 10 data and then only you send. If you have similarity for all the data, then it's a huge query, right? So that's why I am telling that, okay, with top k, you can see there's a method top k. Suppose I need top 7 records. There will be different methods also available. Okay, you can see that filter expression, right? Threshold. So all these parameters you need to add to tweak in your vector store. Okay, how you gonna tweak in the data to get the similar results from your vector store. Currently I just need 7 data, but suppose if you want to add some filter expression that you want to go and search with this similar name or similar value, then you can add in the filter expression as well. So there are few options available that we can use to get the relevant data, but I think if we can get this top 7 records or top 10 records from the vector store which are very similar to what the question is, and then we send those in a context, then we should be able to get some data. Okay, so this is what we need, and let's start our application and see what's happening. So here my application started, Hikari pool started, and yeah, so let's go to the browser and let's go to localhost 8080 and hit the enter. So it should give me some data possibly, and here you can see that the request is too large, right? So we are not able to get the data. So what we will do is simply, let me just change to maybe 5. Okay, so we need to tweak it and we need to use the model in such a way that we are not sending a huge data and we get a proper response. Okay, so this all tweaking will be needed, but this is how you will be able to send the context information and build a RAG with your Spring AI application. You can see that it's really easy. We just need to make sure that how and what particular data that we are building in our vector store. So let me just do the API call again. And here you can see that we got some information that the document provided for the following articles in the Indian Constitution, that is 12 to 28 in the this, blah, 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 and other things. Okay. So we can ask some more questions as well. So suppose I'm asking that what is Right to Information Act? Okay, let's see if we can get the data for that, and it's not giving me data. So we need some tweaking also around here. So let me just check on that. Let me just summarize article 15. Let's see if we can get the data. And here you can see that Article 15 is in question. Article 15 is the Indian Constitution prohibits discrimination of grounds of religion and all those things. Maybe okay, summarize Article 370. There are lots of articles, right? And here you can see that we have the summary of the Article 370 as well. So you can see that we have simplified something, that if whatever the question that we will ask, we will get the answers. This would still need the tweaking. So what I will do is I will add this repository in the Git and I will share with each and every one of you. I would request each and every one of you to contribute to this repository so we can make this APIs really helpful for each and everyone. Okay, so I'll be counting on you guys to contribute to this report to make sure that everyone will be able to understand this particular Spring AI application and how we can build it, and let's help each and everyone to understand the Indian Constitution. So this is how you will be able to build a RAG application with Spring AI so that you are always getting the accurate information from the OpenAI LLM models. If you learned anything awesome in this video, then give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding, bye bye, and keep contributing to this repo.